And finally, let's now move to our newsmaker tonight. And he is someone who's done it yet again. After delivering one of the most successful shows on the Indian OTT platforms only 3 years ago, acclaimed director Hansal Mehta is back with his latest series, Scoop, which has quickly become one of the most talked about shows. Scoop, which is trending since its release, essentially centers around the real-life story of a Mumbai-based crime reporter who was arrested for the murder of a fellow journalist. And Hansal Mehta now joins us right here on this program. Hansal, thanks so much for joining us. Great to have you with us. Hansal, I can't go anywhere. I can't go for a dinner. I can't come to the studio. I can't talk to anybody without them telling me, have you seen Scoop yet? And you must watch it. So that's the good news for you. So you've done it again. How are you judging the response to Scoop?
It's quite overwhelming, Vikram. Thank you for having me on your show. Yeah, it is. It's quite overwhelming. Particularly given that there was no attempt to replicate the uh, success or the style of Scam 1992. Otherwise there's a temptation that you sort of repeat yourself, having seen success in one thing. So, in that sense, it feels, that a vindication of your belief that a good story will find its audience.
Hansal, one thing that's common to both Scam and Scoop, and also to a couple of films that you've made, you seem to believe, and perhaps correctly so, that the most interesting stories are fictionalized accounts of real-life stories that have actually happened. So it's not a writer's imagination. All of this has actually happened. Now let's tell that story, fictionalize that a little bit, dramatize that a little bit, but tell a real story.
Yeah, I believe that one of the things, since I made Shahid, in fact, since I made one of my first films, Dil Pe Mat Le Yaar, I believe that my calling as a storyteller, as a filmmaker, is to chronicle our times. And so that through these stories, I'm trying to chronicle our times through the stories of people who otherwise would be marginalized, because history is only about leaders, about conquests, about kings and princes and queens. So I'm trying to tell the stories of our times, capture them on this medium, through the stories of regular people like all of us, and to tell you how these times have affected the ordinary man. The media, the trial by media, judgment because of the media trial, and how the judiciary and various things have affected our lives today.
Samantha, one of the most interesting things about telling stories that are based on real life is who is a hero, who is a villain, who is a good person, who is a bad person. Now, sometimes in real life, there are actually shades of grey. Hansal Mehta and Scam 92, obviously there were shades of grey and what he did. But even if you're a portrayal of this particular situation, there were some shades of grey. Was she too busy with her career, not focusing enough on the kids? Things like that. How do you show those shades of grey?
Yeah, I think there are shades of gray in all of us, and I think that fascinates me, that we are all imperfect, and because we are imperfect, we are human. So it's a lot about the human condition, about not one-dimensional characters. That journalists, everybody is stereotyped. If you're the only extraordinary people, somehow it feels like the people who rule us are seen as extraordinary people. We, on the other hand, are people. Either we are very virtuous or we are like completely black. It's so black and white, and that stereotyping has, us as storytellers have also succumbed to that kind of stereotyping. So yeah, I'm interested in that. My when I made my film Shahid, Shahid was not exactly perfect. So I was fascinated by that imperfection. I was fascinated by the fact that, yeah, he might be an ordinary person, but what is his story? what is the larger thing that uh, his story can leave behind for us as uh, as the human race. So I think that exploration, which is why, even if you look at this, usually cops are painted as either very, very virtuous, or they're painted as somebody who's like very, they are villains. The very stereotypical portrayals. But if you look at the policemen in this, you don't really know. You can't, they start off as, morally very uh, ambiguous, almost black, and then slowly you see them humanized. And that, I think that is important to look at all of them. Everybody lives in his own circle of compulsions.
Hansal Mehta, thank you so much for being with us. Such a pleasure talking to you and looking forward to your next work, which we will, of course, come back and talk to you about yet again. But thanks a lot for being with us. And that's all we have for you on this episode of The India Story. But do stay with us as we bring you all the latest news from India and abroad, tell you the India story, how it's affecting the planet, and we get you all the big newsmakers. Bye for now.